Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us. So, quick introduction from myself. I'm Lorna, and I work for the London School of Childcare Studies. And very excitedly, they asked me this morning to chat with our monthly Meet the Expert, Jennifer. Now, Jennifer will share her career story because it is so diverse and wonderful. That's one of the reasons we invited her on this morning. But there really is something for all of our learners in this interview because Jennifer has experience of nannying, being a sleep consultant and maternity nurse, and she's even published her own book. So she really is someone who we aspire to be to, and we're really thankful she can join us this morning. If you are one of our learners listening, then I think you'll get a lot from this interview. Jennifer herself has studied with us, or if you are somebody who is just listening and thinking about coming into the childcare industry, then hopefully Jennifer will be able to give you a bit more information on so many different things you can go into. So, first of all, good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're very well. We're very thrilled that you've come on today and took your time to speak to us. So, as I briefly mentioned there, you have got experience of being a nanny, a maternity nurse, most recently a sleep consultant. Can you give us just a brief synopsis of your career working with children and families, and perhaps even if you have one of those areas that you felt that you enjoy the most, or if you feel they've been great combining them all together?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Italian and I came in England in July 2007. No, yes, 2007. And from there, it started a lot of my childcare experience. Before, I was the hot babysitter and nothing else. When I came here, I began maternity help and nannying, and as a travel nanny also. My favorite, I have to say, it's working with little ones. So as a maternity nurse, it is what you really give me joy. But what I found that personally for my character, it's the maternity nurse that still on the job after and carry on when the children growing up. So my favorite age, let's say, is the toddler age from the 1 to 3 years old. It's my absolutely favorite. But I really enjoy to follow the process and follow the life of this little one for as long as possible, because you get so attached. You get so see their success and you see where they struggle, but they get out of the struggle. I think that's what makes being there and supporting them is such an amazing journey.
It's a privilege, isn't it, to be with them? I actually am childminding currently, and I agree, it's exactly the same. I think you do find a niche for learners that you like as well, sort of the age group that you fit best with, don't you? That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the qualifications you undertook and carried out to become those roles, and how you found the learning?
So I learned with London School of Childcare. I done maternity nurse, level 3, level 4, and after that I done sleep consultancies as well. And I absolutely loved it because I done so many learning in Italy, but it's so much different and diverse the learning here. And I loved that because on top of the learning in the classroom that it was, all the homework and all the works you have to do after, they were so open to you to actually make you think about exactly how you're building up things. And you were learning by yourself, kind of, but you were guided with the question, with the right question, with the right hint to go and research more. And I found that I learned so much from that. Even after I done the courses, I learned a new method to build my experience and build my way to work, even with the children, because you give the curiosity a light, and you were like, oh, I want to know that, or I want to get to more answer. And that, I think, it's amazingly done with London School of Childcare. Because it's not just the learning from the book and that's it, or you're reading that page to page and you're learning. You put the emotion in it, and exactly like I do with the children. You put the emotion when they're learning so much quicker and with so much passion. that's exactly what I found out with London School of Childcare made the difference on it. And after that, I've done so many other courses on top. But because I learned a method, when you learn in a good method to understanding how your brain's learning and how you have to kind of build up your way, you have to give yourself curiosity and give you the right questions. You will find a way even by yourself to apply it in every book. Like when you read a book and you say, oh, that's interesting, but you become to say, oh, I'm going to look for more information for that. And you're building up your experience that way.
Yeah, that's great. It's building up those concrete blocks, isn't it? To give you
Yeah.
the confidence to move on.
It does. You build up. You literally started and you say, what are they talking about? But that what we're talking about, they make you to be curious about the next step and the next step.
And it enables you to be a professional in that subject matter, doesn't it? If you've
absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. Something I'm really excited to learn about. So you worked abroad as a travel nanny. And so can you tell us a bit more about this and perhaps how it differed from being a nanny in the UK?
So I've been a travel nanny for 3.5. It was mainly for one family that I was working based in England as well, but we were pretty much traveling every month, different internationally most of the time, or European, so Austria, Italy. I was convenient for Italy because translation as well. Kenya, Caribbean, I've been a bit everywhere with this family. It is an interesting situation because I was traveling a lot of times solo with the children. So there's all that stressful part.
Yeah, I think when you hear sort of a travel nanny, it sounds quite glamorous, doesn't it? But I bet the reality of it is not so. Yeah.
I have to say, it depends a lot with the family you're working with. But the actual travel part, it can be extremely stressful. Extremely, like you crossing borders with children that are not yours, and you got paperwork that says that you're in charge of the children and everything, but still, you know.
It's still a wonderful experience, isn't it?
When you're passing the travel part and you're there, for me, was an extremely experience. It was something out of the mind, because I was working with this family that they travel, like, for learning about culture, for learning about, so with them I was learning as well. Yeah. So it was amazing because they want to include me in that learning. Like I remember experience like we were in the Caribbean once, and it was a Sunday, which supposed to be my free day. And I said to, oh, look, we know it's your free days. You have any plan? Blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, we want to go to church, because they were like really church related. But that's all. Let's go. It's still a good experience, and we end up in this gospel church where it was been one of my absolutely best memory, because you can imagine all the dress up for the Sunday with this singing church. It was an amazing experience. Or traveling to Kenya with still again the father of the family was a photographer, and he was working with the Maasai and things like that. And you learning about the structure of Kenya and what you're seeing. And I found it astonishing. But I have to say, I was kind of lucky. Like sometimes you end up to be with the little one that you have to stay in a hotel room for the whole day.
Yeah.
Maximum that you can do is having a swim at the end of the day. It really depends. For me, it was an amazing experience. It's changed my way to travel nowadays as well.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah, no, I loved it. And I think when I'm talking about it, you can tell.
Yeah, very passionate. Yeah, it's good. It sounds absolutely amazing. Great chapter in your life. A question we often get asked is, can you explain to us your typical working day? Because a lot of our learners have families, have young children. So what you're kind of doing now, how your working day looks like, how many hours you work, that sort of thing. So they're just that.
I really work at the moment on the top of 60 hours a week on 5 days a week, which is 12 hours. It's, if you have a family, I think it's really not easy to do this type of timing. We're talking about working 7 to 7 pretty much every day. That means for having some free time for myself, I have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning and have your own time to get ready and everything. And but generally now I'm working before care and after care with this family I'm working. So is a school age girl that I stayed. It's about 4 years I'm with this family. So I saw her growing up for quite a long time. And she's now in year 1 and in year 1. So I do the early care in the morning, so breakfast and getting her ready and taking her to school. And after that, I got time to put my hours of email and consultation via Zoom or via telephone. I do a lot of WhatsApp, like sometimes, like with maternity nurse, I done, with COVID started, so many family found it useful just to have a service that you support them with messages. So in the day, they're telling you how the night went and you give a suggestion and things like that. I found that it's a very full-on day because you have so many different things, but because they are different, it's not that oppressing on you. It's not.
But it's quite nice to have a bit of variety, isn't it? Yeah, no day's the same, which is something that would appeal to me. Yeah.
And at the moment, for say, I manage even some of the day to go to the gym in that middle day, so I got some time for myself. I can breathe.
Wow, amazing.
And in the afternoon, she finished school, and I follow her for the after clubs and dinner and bath time, and that's it. So mainly working full on 7 to 7. I tend to keep myself Saturday and Sunday free. So I used to do occasionally babysitting. I'm not doing it anymore. It's just, I know it's not our job, but it's,
I think it's important, isn't it, to have some you time as well, so that you can run to maximum capacity when you're working Monday to Friday.
Exactly. That's exactly what I say. If you see me calm and you see me happy, because I have that 2 days where I can distress.
I think that's important. See, I often say that to sleep consultant students because they think they have to answer the parents in the middle of the night and things like that. And I'm like, no, it's really actually important. Don't.
So important.
Yeah. Talking of sleep consultancy, you now do run a sleep consultancy, and I know you completed our sleep practitioner program. Can you tell us a little bit more about this role and how you found working with families who are facing a sleep crisis? Because sometimes a lot of our students are quite anxious that as part of the job, they're going to be working with families who are quite going through very difficult times.
I have to say, no matter which job I'm doing, if it's consultancy or if it's nanny, I always start my head thinking, I jump in a family that's got their own problem, that's got their own issues, that they got their own anxious moments, that we have to know that when you do it, you're working with the children, but you know that's the background of the family. I think that's so important because you can't really jump in and say, oh, I want to do my job with the children, and that's it. Well, the children are part of that family. So the issue that the family have might creating what's the situation with the children. So I found that when you jump in a family, first of all, it's so important to talk about what is your method and how you like to work, because you put in your ground, you say, this is how I do it, and we need to work. So it has to be a teamwork. when you're jumping into it. And sometimes you just don't click with the family. It doesn't have to be personal. I found that is one of the most important, even when you do go for an interview as for nanny job. One of the first things you have to talk is about how you want to work on the discipline and what is your idea for learning. Because of course you have your method and your idea, but it doesn't necessarily the family have the same. So that's, I think, is a must have in all this.
Yeah, I think that is important. And I think when you first starting out, obviously I've just said I'm childminding at the moment, you're desperate for families, you want to get your business up and running, so you feel sometimes eager to take on the first family that contacts you. But it is vitally important that you do consider, are these right for me, and is it right for children in my setting? That's great.
Absolutely. It seemed like, you want to have the job and you need obviously to pay the bills and everything, we all do. But it's so important for a long-term relationship too. That I sometimes see like nannies that they jump in the job and then because they kind of desperate or they scared to not find something else, and they may regret it very quickly because there's no that clicking of teamwork. That it is important. I always found that even when I was struggling, and it can happen that your idea don't apply constantly in the same way with the family, or the family change because something happened. And I always say, well, it's not my children, so let's try and find a way to support them. But that in a short term you can do it. When it's for a long term, it's important that your ideas go forward properly.
Yeah, completely agree. Definitely. Now, I've been on your website. It's amazing. I had a great time scrolling through and learning more about you. Do you recommend having a website and good social media to promote and market your businesses? And where do your clients come from?
So I tried before to do social media as well, and I do have a little one, but it just doesn't pick up because I don't have the time to put into it. So the website for me is a really good tool where maybe I got a family that found my number or something, and they message me and say, oh, can we have a call? The first thing I do is send in the connection with my website, because there's the list of questions I will do in the first consultation, and there's few tools that are free, so they can have a look and they can understand me a little bit or the work I'm doing. I found it very important for that. I wish to have a better social media, but it's just time consuming, so I just can't do it.
And I suppose if the website is working for you, I think
exactly. I think it worked amazingly how I set it, and I personally done it. I don't know how it actually came that way.
Yeah, I think as long as you've got a platform, haven't you, to direct people to.
I think and they learning and they kind of say, oh, do I like her? Do I like what she says? Because sometimes it's empathy. If it doesn't work, I don't see it like a bad thing. It's like we're all different, and that's okay. And I think, yes, I prefer that someone's go in a website and realize, oh, that doesn't work for me, to actually come to me and start in a process and maybe be unhappy after, because again, we not ally on the same ideas.
Yeah, brilliant. So actually, a lot of our students who have left have ended up combining different childcare industries together. We recently interviewed a lady called Jo Swallow, and she did our sleep practitioner program, and now she's become a childminder. And you've done that with your sleep consultancy, your maternity nurse, and your nannying. Do you feel that if you have experience in one of these roles, it does aid you in sort of branching out into other childcare industries?
I think mainly when I decided to do it, it was because I wanted to give the family I'm working a maximum from my experience. I wanted to be able to support them in all this field. I think it's mainly it's for your own growth. Like when you're working with children, it's I found it naturally that you want to understand that you might found the situation of the bullying, so you want to learn about more. Exactly like you as a parent, you found it in your situation and you want to be able to support the children. And for me, it was mainly that. And next, I know for the future that I cannot be a nanny forever. And so I love it. Working with the children is what really make me happy and passionate. But I know at some point we will be too cranky and too difficult to follow our little one. So for me, it is thinking about the future and thinking about, well, I can be the best as possible here, but I want to be able to carry on in childcare. So this is my idea. So that was mainly the reason I wanted to do it, and I wanted to have this. And I keep doing it. I keep learning now.
Yeah, I suppose it's popping a business head on a little bit more, isn't it? Like you say,
Yeah.
looking to the future, which is important. You touched on it a little bit there, and I love working with children as well. So can you tell us what are the best things about working with children and their families, and also perhaps some of the challenges that may occur, and what should others coming into the profession consider?
Yeah. So for me, working with the children one-to-one or with a group of children, or even the party, when you go to birthday party, they just engage so easily. It's every single success. When you work in sometime with family that they struggle with health and everything, you thinking, oh, I really want to see things get better. And when they go better, it's so nice. It's so rewarding. That's why I'm doing it. It's even if a child is struggling because he's very anxious, and so it doesn't necessarily need to be like the big challenge in their life, but seeing that coming out from the struggles, that's what make it, to at least to me, it's gold.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Yeah. So the more challenging part, like I said it before, it is understanding that you are a stranger, go in a new environment that is got their own routine. You jumping in a family and jumping, and that's, I think, not always it's easy to deal with it. Like you are eager to do your job in your own way, and I think in our job, patient with the children, but patient with the parents.
Yeah, that's the harder bit. Yeah.
Yeah, patience with the parents, exactly like with the children. It's a key. It's very important because they are human. They got emotion themselves, and they might have a bad day, and they throw it on you, and they don't.
Like you say, you are, even though you're there for the child, you do end up becoming sort of a crook to help the whole family, don't you?
Yes. I found that it is, and sometimes you just like let the day pass and have a conversation after, because we are human. What can we do? And I think that's the most, partly because it's involved your emotion, and you feel like, well, I've been working for 12 hours today, why are you shouting at me? And it's like, it's not right, but we kind of get that balance.
It's just being understanding of that, isn't it? Yeah. So we do proudly have quite a lot of international learners who come to London School of Childcare Studies alongside our UK learners. You came from another country and set up your business in the UK. How did you find that?
So I was quite fortunate, like, well, I'm quite determined as a person, and I like nothing stop me. When I'm deciding on something, it's happening. It doesn't matter how long it takes, but
Fabulous.
It's happening. So I think that's the one of very important when you're deciding to do it. And I think sometimes you have the people that jump in and they want to do 0 to 100 altogether. I think it's very important to build up. And I was quite lucky about doing that, because when I came first, I said, I don't want to go to London. For me, it's not going to London. I needed to go somewhere that was quiet, where I wanted to learn English, genuine, and I didn't want to have too much distraction. So I went in a fully place in the countryside, in the middle of nowhere. And I think that built up my abilities low at the time, but with strong base on the English, strong based on the job, because I started as a union nanny in a small environment and with smaller bills, a smaller cost of life. So when I landed in London, I was already past the union part, past already the low pay. So when I arrived, well, about, I think it's 8 years ago, I came in London, and I was already in a better situation financially because I had a good pay. And I think that's very important to remember when you're starting, when you're coming from the country. That's many Italians ask me, oh, how you do it? How do we do it? How do we start? And mainly is don't go to London straight away. It's very expensive. It's very time consuming because everything you have to do, where you have to go, it takes you time to get there. So I always suggest go in smaller towns and build up your capacity and your CV. When your CV is in a good place, yes, you can reach London and have a better pay and a better situation. Still, personally, I'm in London and now I'm trying to figure it out at some point to get out of London. So.
Oh, London is just somewhere I visit, so yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that was lucky of me to have this experience. And to be fair, I never found when I was working as a nanny or a maternity nurse so long hours, I never found someone too nasty or someone that I didn't click. So that I think it was making a huge difference on that. Because if you end up in a family that it just doesn't work and it just you are unhappy, you have to move away, and it is a struggle. I have to say it didn't happen to me with the little problem we had, but I did go away from one family that was already in London, so I was more strong. I knew more what I was doing, and that makes a huge difference. So always starting no to the big city, no matter where you're going. I think it gives you more simple situation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And if you're not in the right family, it must be miserable for you. You won't be performing at your best.
It's not performing because you're sad. How can you be performing properly?
Yeah, it's not a good way to live, is it? Now, something that I absolutely adore about you, that you've proudly published your own book. So I'm not a mother, but just a woman. Can you tell us about this? I'm really excited about this.
So it was a very particular process. It's a long time I'm thinking about this book. And it's always been the back of my mind because it is a list of tips and helpful tips for issue like not necessarily issue, but talking about emotional intelligence and open communication, or even just being a woman and being judged as a parent, as a mother, or is even there's a chapter about single parents, single father as well, which I'm not a mother, I'm not having children on my own, and I always found that sometimes the parents end up saying, well, you're not a mother, you might not understand it, and it's unbelievable, but it can happen so many times. So when this book is talking about part of my childhood, like every chapter is beginning with a story from my childhood, where I struggle a lot with health as a child. So I faced many issues regarding that. And I don't know if that gives me a way to see differently. Sometimes I kind of put myself and remember how I felt as a child. And especially when I got an issue with a child that, I don't know, it's play up, his behaviors is not right. There's something, and it doesn't end up. I try to put myself, I see myself as a child, and I see how I could feel and how I could. And that usually really helped me to understand how to support them. And when people say, oh, you're not a mother, you can't understand, it's so helpful to hear for someone like me or like you that we working in the industry. And I do it passionate. I think it's one of the things that you can tell it's she's passionate about work she's doing and everything. So I wanted to combine the fact that I needed to put out some of my story and put out some of my challenges with the challenge my mothers have or the children have nowadays. And we know there's so many anxious children, there's so much bullying around. And I found that with open communication, with supporting the self-esteem of the children, this can change so much the outcome in the children's life. Like I remember to have a big diagnosis when I was 10 years old, and my parents didn't talk about it with me. And that's part of what it, and I found that talking about and sit down and say, oh, this has happened, and talk it through and put yourself your question out and not having to work it out your own, it make a huge difference. So that's the book, it was so important to me because writing the book, it was found part of my childhood and not necessarily fix, but don't feel so sore about it. Don't feel so suffering about what happened to you in the past. And in that way, helping the children. So that's mainly the reason of the book.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. It sounds quite a powerful read, actually. Can't believe you fitted it in, Jennifer, with everything else that you do. Just, add novelistic ability.
It take me 3 years.
Oh, worth it.
Yes. And sometimes I was stuck because obviously there's the part of my childhood that I was literally stuck to write in it. And it was a beautiful process at the end because it's part of me. It's like a baby to me because
the satisfaction's really high. Yeah, it's brilliant. Now, one of the approaches that you endorse is the Montessori approach. And can you just tell us a little bit about it and how it differs from perhaps other approaches?
So the Montessori, we know it helps a lot with independence. It's supporting the children from zero to work it out the solution, solve problems. And I think nowadays it's a tool that's so important for children. Like when you see someone that's keep helping the children to open the banana without giving the chance, or peeling the orange without having a go. And I know it might be needed the help, but then giving the tool to say you can do it and I can support you in this, I think that's very important. And you can see in the children that working with Montessori, but I say Montessori, but I always mix it a little bit. I'm not close on Montessori. I always say that when I'm working with the children, I look at the child and I look at what is the child is telling me. And from that I'm working. So I constantly mix out the approach. But I think with Montessori, you have so many answers. So you get so much result. And because it's built up very clearly how to approach it, it makes it quite easy to do it. Like, you know exactly how to do it. She's telling you step by step. And that's what's making it helpful. I think it's amazing to see a child that is 1.5 and he can put the jacket himself. It's very, sometimes it's simple, but it makes them so powerful to say, oh, I'm able to do it. That makes a huge difference.
And sometimes you have to be a little bit brave as well. I mean, my children are older, but somebody came in the other day and my 10-year-old made a cup of tea and she was like, oh, she's using boiling water. And she peeled the carrots and actually cut them up, and they were like, oh, is she allowed to use a knife? And but I think they're life skills, aren't they? And it's really important.
It is. I have to say, with the girls I'm working now, she's 6 and something, and she can make her own pizza. She can make her own pizza. She can peel vegetables. She can chop them. They smile on them when they can offer the plate that they make. It's amazing.
Yes. better for them, isn't it? The more
Yeah.
interested in the food as well.
And also, I think given curiosity, I think that curiosity that I said I need to learn, it's working exactly in the same way to them as they wanted to learn. They wanted to know what's after. They constantly ask you why, and it can be annoying sometimes because there's a constant why. But it's nice that they ask you a question, and
that's right. Something that I'm very passionate about, as well as yourself, is the importance of instilling self-esteem and resilience in our children. Have you got any top tips, or explain how you endorse that in your settings?
So one of the first thing is open communication. No repeated, but it will get repeated with some age. But open communication, I think it's important. And supporting small choices. Give it the option. Even when they're little, you want the red top, you want the green top. It sounds so small, but it given the idea I need to make a choice. Which one is the better for me? I think that's a massive one. And supporting the challenge. They found themselves in a difficult situation, and they might tell you, I can't do it. And you kind of support them with the question, why you can't do it? Or what can we do for making it easy? Or what does it will make you to feel more safe to try and do it? I think even if it's a hard thing, to give it a step at a time, that I think can make a really difference, because they feel capable. They feel that they can ask you a question even, and they can talk with you about how they feel or how a challenge might make them feel. And we know when we know how to feel, we can try and get around and change it. But until we don't know how to explain it, it's very tricky.
The communication is key, isn't it? Thank you ever so much. So finally, Jennifer, do you have any encouraging words or anything you'd like to say to our learners or people who are listening and are considering doing our courses and entering the industry? Any final encouraging message you'd like to pass on to them?
I was when I saw this question, I said, I need to find something and I was going round and round, but there's one very simple. Remember that the children, they will forget what you say, but know how you make them feel.
Beautiful. That's exactly it.
Because if they feel happy, if you make them supporting and smiling, they want to learn, they want to do more. And I think that's what is included. If you're passionate and working with children, if you make the key to found a positive emotion in their learning, they will, that's it. You found the right spot.
That's it. And they don't forget you, do they? I was a teacher before childminding, and I've got some of my students are now in the 20s, and they still remember me.
I got children about that age, because I work with teenagers as well at some point. And it is. They were maybe the worst one. When they are 10, 11, they can make. But I still got this memory of this boy. When I was traveling nanny, it was 1 2 years old, 1 11, and 1 she was 13. And the 11 years one, it was all over the top. But after nearly 4 years together, he wrote me a letter, thanked me. And it was like, oh my God, it was a big achievement, because it made me understand that it's enough a bit of love and support, and that you see a big change. And that's why I'm doing this job.